A British woman accused of terrorism, a continent cast in shadow, and a story that revealed more about the hunters than the hunted. I'm Jamal Usman. Welcome to my journalism toolkit. There was a time when her name was whispered across continents, Samantha Luthway. To the tabloids, she was the White Widow. To the spy world, a ghost. To journalists, she was a question mark dressed as a woman. No one had seen her, yet everyone claimed to know her. No one could prove her guilt, yet her shadow is stretched across every attack. From London to Johannesburg, Nairobi to Mogadishu. Who was she, and why was the world so obsessed with finding her? Born in Northern Ireland in 1983, raised in Aylesbury, a quiet English town, married young to Jermaine Lindsay, one of the men behind the 7/7 London bombings. She was 21 when the bombs went off, pregnant, widowed, and instantly branded by association. Her name was sealed in infamy, not for what she did, but for who she married. Then she disappeared, or maybe she didn't. What followed wasn't fact, it was fiction dressed up as fear. Headlines screamed, British mother turned terrorist on the run, White Widow mastermind behind Kenya attack, Scotland Yard hunts Islamist fugitive across Africa. And there they were, each headline louder, more sensational than the last. Suddenly, Samantha wasn't a woman anymore. She was a brand, a blonde ghost haunting Africa's coastline, an obsession of the British press. I remember Mombasa 2013, and all along the coast, rumor ran faster than reason. British journalists wandered through Old Town chasing a shadow. They looked at every veiled woman twice. Some even bent down to check their feet. Local journalists, sharp and desperate, fed the frenzy. A White Widow story meant a paycheck. Truth was optional, drama was not. And I was there watching it unfold. The world's largest game of hide and seek played on African soil. Then came Westgate Mall, Nairobi, September 2013. Gunfire, panic, confusion. Before the dust even settled, before bodies were counted, her name resurfaced. She was there leading, they said. She planned it. She escaped in a niqab. But she wasn't there. There was no proof, no fingerprint, no footage, no trace. Still, her myth grew stronger. I remember being asked repeatedly by editors and colleagues, where is she, Jamal? What are you hearing? But I resisted the temptation to join the crowd. A lot of what was written didn't add up. Reports claimed she was leading fighters, but that's not what women in those circles usually do. The stories didn't fit the reality I knew or the region I understood. This is where journalism meets its test. When everyone else is shouting, sometimes your job is to stay quiet, to listen. As an African journalist, I had a different viewpoint. I understood the terrain, not just the geography, but the psychology. I knew how stories travel here, how rumor becomes currency, and I knew the danger of importing Western fears into African realities. To be fair, that's the word that guided me. Fair to the facts, fair to the people being written about, fair to the truth even when it's inconvenient. Because our role as journalists is to hold a mirror to it. What happened with Samantha Luthway wasn't journalism, it was projection, a Western fantasy of betrayal and conversion. A white English woman turned terrorist, the perfect villain for the post-9/11 imagination. She made headlines, she made editors lean forward, and she gave the world a face to blame. But real issues that drive young men to pick up guns, that eats away at broken nations, that doesn't have a face. It doesn't wear a niqab or carry a British passport. It lives in systems, in stories, in the space between fact and fear. Today, no one truly knows where Samantha Luthway is. Some suggest she died years ago. Others say she's alive, living quietly somewhere in East Africa. Maybe she's long gone. Maybe she was never quite who we thought she was. But what is certain is that the White Widow became less about a person and more about a mirror, reflecting our biases, our fears, and the media's hunger for spectacle. She was never truly found because she was never truly there, at least not in the way the world imagined her. Sometimes I think back to those days in Mombasa, the salt in the air, the buzz of the markets, the journalists chasing shadows. I remember thinking this isn't just about one woman. It's about how we tell stories and who gets to tell them. As journalists, especially African journalists, we walk a fine line. We report to the world, but we are from the world we report on. We must balance curiosity with compassion, skepticism with understanding, because if we lose that balance, we risk becoming part of the very machinery that manufactures myths. If you go down to Mombasa's coast today, you might still hear the whispers, stories of a white woman veiled and silent, slipping through the markets at dusk. But listen closer, and you will hear something else. The ocean, washing away lies and legends alike. Samantha Luthway, a woman who became a story, and like all stories born in fear, she was never truly found. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.